that, Wanmin restaurants just closed for a couple of days. But it's nice to try somewhere different for a change. Su Arnyang's hot pot is pretty good, and you can't get it at Wanmin restaurant.
Wanmin's closed? Why? What happened?
Well, it was partly our fault. Recently, some old classmates from the Tongwen Academy got in touch and said they were organizing a get-together. Yanfei's the most senior among us, since she's the most qualified, so she got to pick the location. And she booked Wanmin Restaurant. The turnout was a lot higher than expected, and in the space of 2 days, we somehow got through all of the restaurant's stock for the week ahead. Boss's enormous appetite was also a significant contributing factor. He went a little crazy.
Chef Mao was pretty wiped out by the end, but he had a huge smile on his face. It was the best business he's had in months. The only thing is, it'll take him at least a couple days to fully restock.
Bullchucker's here too? Paimon's surprised we haven't seen him. Those horns stick out like two sore thumbs.
Yeah, when he heard I was meeting up with some old classmates, he got very excited and decided he was coming with me. His logic was, and I quote, "Any classmate of Shinobu's is a classmate of mine." Notwithstanding the fact that Boss has never studied a day in his life, I think he just feels that he didn't get enough chances to indulge his taste buds last time he was in Liyue.
That other kid you guys brought with you, though, what was his name again? Oh yeah, Grandmaster Hanakato. He seems like a smart cookie. You probably didn't notice because you were busy chatting to your classmates at the time, but he was helping Chef Mao out in the kitchen, trying to pick up some Liyue cooking skills.
I suspect he just wanted to learn how to make some new dishes to feed to his Onikabuto and make them stronger.
Grandmaster Hanakato? Where do we know that name from? Oh yeah! Didn't we meet him during that beetle battle thing that Bullchucker organized at one time?
That's right. Good memory, Paimon. After the near catastrophe that was the beetle brawl, Hanakato became an ally of the Arataki gang. He and Boss regularly hang out to have practice matches and discuss Onikabuto rearing strategies. But to his credit, a lot of the things he ropes Boss into doing in the name of beetle brawling actually result in Boss doing some real work for a change. It's made things a lot easier for me. For instance, they've decided to spend a few days helping Chef Mao restock the kitchen. Partly to thank him for the epic feast. And partly because they would like to use the opportunity to look for new ingredients to boost their Onikabuto's performance.
I think they're out looking for crabs at Guyun Stone Forest right now, with Miss Xiangling and Mr. Guoba. They all seem to get along great. Guoba's already made friends with Crimson Staff, as Ito calls it, and, something Beetle King, or whatever Hanakado's is called. They've been out for quite a while, though. Shouldn't they be back by now?
Unless something put them in a playful mood. In which case, it's anyone's guess what kind of mess they might be in by now.
Well, now Paimon wants to join in the fun! Crabs from Guyun Stone Forest? Paimon bets they taste great! Why don't we go see if they need our help? The sooner Wanmin restaurant is fully stocked, the sooner we get to eat there again! And while we're at it, we can see what Bullchucker and Grandmaster Hanakato are really up to over there.
So you two are gonna head over?
I think that's a great idea. The Traveler, Paimon, and Ito make a good team. Not everyone can get through to him, but he usually listens to you two.
You make a good point. Well, thanks for checking up on them, you two.
Long sword in hand. means no! Embrace the ice!
All settled in. Propagate! Spring forth! Get with me! My apologies!
Traveler and Paimon. And thank you, Dunyarzad, for organizing the Sub-Zero's festival for me.
I'm sorry, who are...
Junior-san! You're okay! Oh, don't scare us like that!
Oh, Traveler Paimon, I have something amazing to tell you. I just had a dream, and I saw Diluc performing the dance of Sumeru's.
You. Paimon felt like Catherine was acting weird when we met at the Sumeru's festival. And... Dunyarzad, did you save her?
It's a really long story. We shouldn't disturb her. Her consciousness is still weakened. Let's chat somewhere else. How about by the Traveler's favorite bench?
Let's talk about Dunyarzad first. It's such a relief that she's alright.
After we parted on the last day of the Sumeru's festival, I left the city and saw what the Traveler had described. Among the countless dreams, I found one that was growing fainter and fainter. This proved my suspicion. Once Dunyarzad could no longer bear the Akasha harvesting her dreams, her consciousness began to dissipate. But this also meant it escaped the Akasha's control. Such a small fragment of consciousness can't last for very long, though. It will return to its original dream, where both will gradually fade until they completely disappear. I used all the power I had to keep her dying dream alive as long as possible, but it still wouldn't have lasted for much longer if it hadn't been for you two breaking the samsara.
So it looks like we did manage to save Dunyarzad in the end. And not a moment too soon.
Huh? Why are you two smiling so happily? I thought you'd be so moved that you'd start crying. I need to spend more time observing human emotions.
differently.
All right. You two must have a lot of other questions for me, right? After all, you saved my faithful believer. As your reward, I will answer any and all questions.
At the Avidia Forest, there was this incense that made the traveler fall unconscious and dream of a huge tree and a red sky.
You also heard someone's voice, right? It said world and forget me.
Yeah, so you do know! We've been wanting to ask you what that was about, and if the red sky was related to Conria.
It seems like the traveler established a connection to Irminsul. That was a message left by Greater Lord Rukkhadevata's residual consciousness in Irminsul. Perhaps her last memory before she died. As you two probably know, Greater Lord Rukkhadevata disappeared after the disaster in Conria. The timings of these events do line up, so your suspicions are reasonable.
A message from Greater Lord Rukkhadevata? We thought it was from King Deshret.
King Deshret? That god who died even longer ago? Some present-day desert dwellers still worship him. You probably just heard some of their conspiracies.
Okay, so what does the message mean?
I still haven't managed to decipher it. Even the Akasha isn't currently capable of doing that. Greater Lord Rukkhadevata's residual consciousness in Irminsul seems to be contaminated with something that has a very dangerous aura to it. Many devoted scholars go mad as soon as they connect their consciousness. I've warned the Academia about this many times, but people still keep falling victim to it. But I believe this is the key to saving Irminsul. That's why I've kept trying to decipher it.
So the tree in the vision was Irminsul? Oh, Tighnari also said that Irminsul is sick! Is it because of the contaminated consciousness? But even if you can't figure out what that vision was all about, it seems like our search for you was all in vain.
The Traveler wasn't affected after coming in contact with that consciousness. I've never seen anyone like that. With you here, we may have a chance at deciphering it. No, we must decipher its secrets. I've already eliminated all other factors that might affect Irminsul. This is the only one left. This puzzle has life and death at stake. It could determine Irminsul's fate, as well as Tevat's. There's never been any big problems with the Academia's governance of Sumeru. This is the first time I've seen them step out of line. I wonder what caused them to go down this path, and what they hope to achieve. Even though the city's residents haven't noticed anything strange, if the Traveler hadn't broken the Sub-Zero's samsara, the situation could have become dire. I tried to do some investigating in the Akasha, but I couldn't find anything suspicious. And all the people of interest seem to purposely avoid wearing their Akasha terminals. I think they're deliberately trying to hide something.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. In Gandharvaville, there was a sage who had invited Tighnari to join some kind of project. Could it be related?
Regardless, I need to first investigate the sage's motives, make things right, and punish them if needed. But I'll have to be discreet, or they'll see me coming. You mean how the Akasha stops you from having dreams?
Yeah, it's been such a long time. No one's noticed something's up?
It's not that no one noticed. It's more like no one cared. Ultimately, it's all rooted in the sage's misdirection.
Misdirection?
The sage has convinced everyone to believe that being unable to dream is a sign of rationality and wisdom. Not dreaming is a badge of honor in Sumeru. Even if the truth is that their dreams are being reaped by the Akasha. With their propaganda in place, the sages can maximize their use of the Akasha to facilitate their research. Besides, Greater Lord Rukkhadevata must have created the Akasha in the hopes that it could be used to its full potential. That's why I've never come out strongly against this. Anyway, the perspective advocated by the sages drowned out any voices of doubt. By now, even those who never use Akasha terminals find it too shameful and embarrassing to talk about their dreams. Got it. I hope my answers were satisfactory, seekers of knowledge. To be honest, maintaining Dunyarzad's fading dream took a lot of mental energy. I think I may need to rest for a while. Oh, and you don't need to worry too much about the sage's activities for now. The Akasha won't be able to conduct another project on the scale of the Sumeru Samsara in the immediate future.
Go and get some sleep. Leave everything to us.
What a relief. This is truly the most exhausting birthday I've ever had.
Traveler? Paimon? Why am I here? Do either of you know?
Maybe you were sleepwalking. You know you can't wake up a sleepwalker. We happened to walk by, so we thought we'd wait for you to wake up.
I see. Huh. I should visit my maintenance personnel sometime. Oh, I'm fine. I better go. Thank you.
We've spent quite some time in Sumeru City, but ever since we last said goodbye to Lesser Lord Kusanali, we haven't heard anything from her. Oh, we can't just keep waiting around like this. Let's go find Catherine and pick up some work so we can at least keep ourselves busy.
When I hand this work over to the government. Every corner.
Ad Astra Avisosk. We meet again, you two.
Hi, Catherine. Do you have any commissions for us today?
Commissions, huh? Let me think. Oh, how about this? Please attend the Academia's Academic Symposium this afternoon and recite a love poem on stage.
Wait, say what now?
And if possible, please also use your camera to capture the reaction of the audience upon finishing the poem.
Huh? What kind of commission is that?
I see. It appears that you're not interested in this commission. In that case, please go to Port Ormos and convince the Eremites there to spend some time volunteering at the local orphanage.
Hey, that's not any better.
I'm sure the mercenaries will have some interesting reactions as well.
Paimon's gotta ask. Just who exactly has been submitting these commissions to the Adventurers Guild?
Oh, the commissioner? Well, actually, I just wanted to see the two of you in action.
Was it so obvious? I was hoping you would actually take one of those commissions. That kind of chance to observe humans doesn't come by often.
Ah, so it's Nahida. Paimon just knew Catherine wouldn't crack those kinds of jokes. When did you get into her head?
From when she said, Ad Astra Abisosk?
So it's been you this whole time? Are you done resting up, Nahida?
Yes. I've been sleeping ever since we parted ways, and I even had a really, really long dream. It was another dream about the Sub-Zerus festival, except it was a happy one. In my dream, I was sitting in the middle of a flower terrace, and everyone in Sumeru City was holding hands as they danced in circles around me. They danced round and round, and everyone looked really happy. I also got to sit on a gigantic flower carriage. Ferris, the Knight of Flowers, raised me really, really high above the ground, and I was throwing an endless amount of Yalda candies at the children.
You know, Nahida, maybe your dream is how the Sub-Zerus festival really should be. It's meant to be a joyous time where everyone gets together to celebrate your birthday.
Huh? Wasn't I describing a really happy dream? Why are you both looking at me like that? Wait, could this be an example of the emotion known as pity?
No, we aren't pitying you. That would only make everything worse. We just don't want you to feel too sad. By the way, have you had a chance to visit Dunyarzad? How's she doing? The Homianis haven't allowed any visitors after the festival, so we haven't been able to check on her.
Yes, I paid her a visit right after I woke up. She was resting at the time. Her condition is stabilized. However, since Elazar is a manifestation of the withering on the human body, we can only cure it by finding a way to take care of Irminsul's own withering. But for the moment, our top focus should still be figuring out what the sages are up to and what they're planning.
Right. Who knows what'll happen if they manage to pull off another scheme like the Samsara of the Sub-Zerus festival?
So our first priority should be investigating and putting a stop to the sages' activities. As for how we should pull that off, let's discuss it somewhere else. There are too many adventurers around here.
Oh, good point. Sorry, adventurers. We're gonna be borrowing Catherine for a little while.
let's continue our chat here.
Okay, so do you have any ideas on how we can investigate the sages, Nahida?
Actually, I've already done a little bit of work on that. But for now, I want to hear your thoughts. I've already tried that, but all the key members of the Academia, even the core of 30 guards, intentionally avoid wearing their Akasha terminals. It seems that from the very beginning, they've been guarding against info leaks from the Akasha. Of course, it could also be because they're wary of me.
Have you already caught the sage's attention?
I'm guessing not yet. But distrusting me would make perfect sense if they've ever paid attention to the urban legends about me. In any case, I probably can't take over their minds directly. No way, that's too risky.
You mean it'd be too easy to get caught?
No, it's not that. We shouldn't involve innocent students in this. A single mistake could completely ruin their lives. Doing that would be ignoring the safety of my people for my own selfish goals. How is that any different from what the sages are doing?
That's a good point. Spoken like the god of Sumeru.
We're in the dark as of now. Since we still don't know anything about their goals, any rash move could tip them off and lead to terrible consequences. After all, every person in Sumeru City is one of their hostages.
Are we really out of ideas? Nahida, you're super smart, so you already have something in mind, right? Don't keep us in suspense. Spill the beans already.
According to a popular theory from the Vahumana Darshan of the Academia, rejecting impractical motions at the beginning of a planning session will give more weight to the actual proposal.
Okay, but aren't you the god of wisdom? You don't have to use that kind of gimmick to make us take your ideas seriously.
Well, I've been thinking that if I can't directly possess the leaders, and if I can't get ordinary people involved, then I should find someone who's already involved, but hasn't decided to side with the sages.
You're saying we should recruit a spy? That does sound like it could work. Oh, before coming back, we met someone named Alhaitham. He seems like he acts alone, and he likes doing stuff behind the Academia's back. They probably aren't in cahoots.
Actually, I already have someone in mind. Do you still remember that female scholar named Setaria?
Setaria. Paimon remembers now. Isn't she the one who's always trailing behind the Grand Sage of the Academia? We ran into her basically every time the Sub-Zero's festival repeated itself. You could even say we're old enemies by now. Paimon still remembers the smug and mean way she always spoke to Diluc.
I've always liked observing all kinds of people, and Setaria has always stood out from the crowd. She was born in the desert and was hailed as their greatest genius. Her academic gifts allowed her special admission into the Academia, and also gave her the opportunity to serve as the sage's assistant.
Oh, Paimon didn't know she was from the desert. She must be pretty special then. Paimon feels like most of the desert dwellers around the city are working as mercenaries.
The name Setaria means star. When she lived in the desert, she shone like the brightest star in the night sky. Later on, she was chosen by the sun. The star was given a place in the daytime sky to complement the sun's dazzling light. Soon after, the star witnessed the sun scorching the earth, which brought forth many disasters. The star began to waver. Instead of staying beside such a sun, wouldn't it be better to return and light up part of the night sky? But in the end, she couldn't give up the radiance of daytime. To cope with her shame, The star buried her guilt and closed her eyes.
From the sound of it, Sataria's just hung up on the research opportunities here. But she doesn't really support the academia. She still feels guilty about not doing more for the desert, right? She's just running away from her problems.
Indeed. When they are presented with complex moral issues, many people will simply plug their ears and go with the flow until the problem can't be fixed anymore. She's suppressing a lot of guilt, but before she realized it, she had already become the sage's accomplice. She can't deny her part in their schemes anymore. Right. We must somehow make her face her problems again. That way, not only can we get useful intel from her, but she can also use it as an opportunity to redeem herself. From my past observations, Sataria will take a day off from the academia every 10 days to do some shopping in the city. Tomorrow afternoon just happens to be a shopping day for her. That'll be our chance. To prepare, let's go check out some of her favorite spots, and have a quick chat with a few of the vendors there. This should be Sataria's favorite fortune-telling spot.
So should we ask the fortune teller about Sataria?
No, I already have enough information on Sataria. The most important thing now is for you to pay attention to the vendor's talking style and key characteristics.
Talking style and key characteristics?
My poor lost lambs. Have you become troubled over your fates? The divine voice of wisdom often echoes between mine ears. If thou be blessed today by the gods, I may be able to show you the way.
Huh? Really? Nahida, you've been whispering things to her?
Shh! My friend here has some doubts regarding her future. Can we get a fortune reading for her?
Of course, of course. In that case... It would seem that Harut and Marut are quite wary of you. Perhaps, at some time in the past, you have somehow offended the gods.
Only mocking the god of Animo, questioning the Lord of Geo's financial savviness, and brawling with the god of Electro. Do those count?
Oh, nothing. Go on, pick an aspect for her to divine.
Health prospects, no problem at all. The gods have spoken. The truth shall be revealed. Your life shall continue on for many tens of thousands of years. Impossible. Harut, Marut, did you two spoil my divination? I've never read a fortune so absurd.
Actually, Paimon thinks this is probably the most accurate fortune-telling you've ever done.
admit that the orientation of today's celestial matrix is, suboptimal. As such, there will be no charge.
Is that so? Well, that can't be helped.
If you were to bring some food offerings for Heart and Mart on your next visit, perhaps they could help you reverse the wheels of fate.
Is this another one of Sataria's favorite stalls?
Yep, it belongs to a king. His father helped Sataria a lot when she first moved to Sumeru City, so she still comes by whenever she has time. When I start talking with him, listen carefully to the details of our conversation.
Ah, dear customers, would you like to look at some pottery?
We caught wind of your great craftsmanship, so we specifically came to take a look.
Oh, I recognize you. Aren't you Miss Catherine from the Adventurers Guild? Sounds like I'm in for some big business.
Speaking of, where did you learn this trade?
I suppose you could say it all started with my dad. He's a mason by trade, but I picked up an interest in clay while apprenticing for him. After that, I began making pottery by myself in secret, and I simply changed trades when my works turned out well. Although it's a pity that I'm no longer making much use of the knowledge provided to me by the Akasha.
That's nice. You're making a living doing something you love.
So is your father still working as a mason?
Oh no, not anymore. A few years back, he fell from a roof and broke his leg. Since he had already saved enough Mora over all these years, he's just enjoying the retired life in Port Ormos nowadays.
I see. We wish him peace and happiness in his retirement. I'll have someone in charge of logistics at the guild come by another day for some goods. We'll leave you to it. Take care now.
No problem. Rest easy, all our goods are sure to meet your every need.
This should be our final stop. Sataria's always thinking of this restaurant when she's working at the academia, so she always comes by whenever she's out in the city.
Nahida, you've really thought of everything.
It's my duty to protect Sumeru's citizens, after all.
Hi there. I feel like I've seen you down by the docks before.
Huh? Sorry, I don't quite remember.
If I recall, you were having a discussion with someone about shipbuilding at the time.
Ah, that's right! I've always been really interested in feats of marine engineering. After all, I grew up in Liyue Harbor and spent my entire childhood staring at the ships going in and out of the port. I came to Sumeru to study, but failed to make it into the academia due to my lack of talent. But I'm still discussing all kinds of problems with different scholars, and I'm continuing to study and perform research from the restaurant's basement. I'm sure I'll get into the academia after their next round of exams.
What an admirable spirit for learning. Amazing!
Sure, but you'll find hardworking people wherever you go.
So this restaurant has a basement as well? Huh. First I've heard of it.
That's right. It's not usually open to patrons. Most of the time, employees use it for breaks or to hold private events.
I see. Yes, that makes sense. Well, good luck with your studies, Miss Chishan.
Thank you so much. As long as I can make it into the academia as an official student, I'll be happy.
familiar faces should be enough for Setaria.
What's the point of all the information we've collected? Nahida, you still haven't told us how you're planning to make Setaria face her problems.
Setaria is already used to avoiding her problems, so we must find a way to break through her usual sensibilities. I remember you mentioned that the Eremites in Port Ormuz are all making a fuss about the upcoming resurrection of King Deshret. Although it's all just a boatload of nonsense, the faith of her homeland may turn out to be Setaria's soft spot.
Oh, Paimon gets it now! You want to take advantage of the guilt Setaria feels about her homeland. Although she knows she should return home to help the people of the desert, all she's done is conspire with the sages. So how do we set that up?
Well, King Deshret is long gone, and Setaria is also too smart to fall for any simple tricks. If we simply engaged her under the guise of King Deshret's believers, she would definitely be wary of us, and we may not get anywhere. But if we were to borrow some of her close acquaintances to talk with her, her reaction would probably be very different.
So, you mean you're going to possess those people we just talked to?
Yep. Possess them through the Akasha. Imply they've already converted to the faith of King Deshret, and then convey our made-up will of King Deshret. As long as everything goes smoothly, we'll get through to Setaria for sure. She'll never guess that we had anything to do with it.
So that's how you're going to use all the info we collected on these people. It's so that you won't slip up and break form. Possessing them will only work if you can manage to pass off as them.
Exactly. So, best of luck with impersonating them.
Huh? Best of luck? But we don't know how to possess anyone.
That's no problem at all. I'll just share all their senses with you once I've possessed them. As long as you're also wearing an Akasha terminal, the effect will basically be as if you've possessed them yourself.
Huh. That is pretty convenient. But why does she have to do this? Can't you do it yourself?
Although I've been observing humans for a while, I've never been good at imitating them.
You're not wrong. It's always been painfully obvious whenever you try to pass as Catherine.
If it was at all possible, I would have preferred to leave these people alone. But seeing how things are now, I probably should just accept it and push on.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up over it. We're only doing this to help everyone, and we'll only be borrowing them for a little while anyway.
Alright, then let's give it a go tomorrow afternoon.
Here she comes! Setaria is here!
Let's quietly follow her. Once she starts talking to her acquaintances, we'll find a safe spot to begin possessing them. As for how we'll sway her to our side, I'll leave that to you. I trust you'll know what to say.
Paimon's starting to feel kinda nervous. Okay, let's go. Looks like they've already started talking. Let's find a hiding spot and get started.
That's right. You really can't force anything when it comes to love. And besides, everyone around me has a very different background and outlook.
you still listening to me, Nabia?
Oh, of course I'm listening. You were talking about troubles with your love life, right? I heard everything you said.
Okay then. You just seemed a little distracted for a moment there. Strange. Your cats seem pretty worked up. Is something wrong? I always thought they were quiet, happy kitties. Oh, what are their names again? Ah, that's right. They are just little darlings, aren't they? Harut and Marut.
Ahem. So, which fortune do you want me to read for you today? You must have come for another echo of the divine voice of wisdom.
I'd like to get another reading on my love prospects, but to be perfectly honest with you, I feel like I've been a real mess recently.
A mess?
Well, could you do a reading on how long it'll take me to finish my current project at work? I really just want to get it over with.
I hear you. No problem at all. The gods will reveal the truth. The gods are asking, Setaria, why haven't you gone home?
Why haven't I gone home? Do the gods really know everything I've been thinking about?
Setaria, why don't you just go home? It's a demand now instead of a question. The gods seem to be truly upset.
I'm sorry. I know I failed the gods. Please pass on my most sincere apologies and ask for their divine forgiveness. And, if I may ask, Nabia, is there a specific god who's speaking to you right now?
What an inconsiderate and naive question. The god who is speaking to me is, of course, the wisest and mightiest of all, King Deshret.
King Deshret? No wonder he would make such a demand of me. Wait a second. King Deshret passed away a long time ago. Even though news of King Deshret's resurrection has been spreading like wildfire, it's all just a misinformation campaign from the academia. How can King Deshret still exist in real life?
What insolence! I am King Deshret's most loyal believer. Do you wish to refute his voice of wisdom?
Oh, no. As a child of the desert, I am only reveling in his power upon learning that his divine glory has touched even this city. I will think very carefully about his demand of me. I'm sorry. I must go now.
Wait!
Ooh, she just ran off in a hurry. She looked pretty upset, too.
Well done. Setaria didn't seem to suspect anything amiss. To have something she's been trying desperately to avoid show up out of nowhere and berate her, that must have shaken her to the core.
Aw, Nahida, it seems like you understand human emotions really well after all.
All I know are some abstract Harabatot theories. And in any case, my time with you has shown a lot of them to be utterly useless. I'm still trying to make sense of everything. Anyway, enough of that. Let's hurry and catch up to Setaria.
He's out of Keems now, right on cue. Let's get ready to possess him right away!
It's okay. I just got caught up in something. Oh, actually, didn't you ask me to help you look for work?
What kind of work were you looking for again? Gardening? But don't you hate everything to do with plants? I still remember getting mad at you for secretly throwing away the bonsai that I gave you as a present.
You see, a friend told me that the secret to self-improvement is to work on things you're not so good at.
Fair enough. I didn't think that was something you would consider. Speaking of, how's he doing? Is he feeling any better? Oh, that's good to hear. I have been thinking a lot about him. If I could get some more time off, I'd love to pay him a visit. Actually, while we're talking about him, is he still living in Port Ormos?
Yeah, he's been retired there for a while.
If you could find the time, please write him a letter. Let him know that recently, faith in King Deshret has taken root in Port Ormos and has begun to spread across Sumeru. He has a quick temper, and has always been a devout follower of the Dendro Archon. I don't want him to get into a fight with those King Deshret believers because of a difference in beliefs.
Oh? So, who are you siding with in all of this? The Academia or King Deshret? I'm so jealous of you. You were born a child of the desert, yet you chose to betray King Deshret, and now you spend all your time with those crooks from the Academia.
Akeem, you don't mean... you've also become a believer of King Deshret?
What's so strange about becoming a believer of the wise King Deshret? In fact, aren't you the strange one? The one who still can't pick a side?
Can't pick a side? Me?
Whoa! Paimon had no idea you'd be so good at this!
You really zeroed in on the issue and put it right in front of her. It might feel a bit overwhelming for Setaria. But once everything is over, I'll be sure to pay her a visit to her mind and explain everything. Anyway, let's keep going.
Come on! Setaria's already started talking with Shishan!
Let's take a moment to rest and plan our next move.
So, Shishan, have you noticed anything weird in the city lately? Like, as if someone was trying to preach to you about something?
Oh, right. Speaking of strange things, I celebrated the Subzerus festival so many times that I lost count. That was really weird.
Wait, how could you be aware of that? That should be impossible. Nothing in the report indicated anything like that.
Are you still failing to realize that the Academia's lowly tricks could never deceive all of Sumeru's citizens?
Shishan, don't tell me that you've converted to King Deshret as well.
What an absurd question. You make it sound like I should be ashamed for becoming a believer of King Deshret. In reality, shouldn't you be the one who is ashamed? You, who works side by side with the academia and treated people as nothing more than experimental subjects.
Please, please stop!
Even now, Satari is still trying to run from her problems.
She can no longer justify everything to herself.
Hey, she's trying to talk to the guards! What should we do?
This is the most important part of all. Quick, get ready.
Mercenary, you're a member of the Corps of 30, correct? Please help me pass a message to the Matcha right away. The situation in the city is getting out of control.
Please, try to remain calm, miss. Tell me what's happening in the city.
Heretics are infiltrating the city, and they've already converted many residents to their side.
Heretics? What kind of heresy are you talking about?
King Deshret! Many people I know have suddenly started believing in him, but he's long dead. It's impossible.
Miss Sataria, nothing is impossible.
You know my name?
King Deshret is immortal, and all who defy him will one day pay the price. You must face the truth, Sataria. You tread a treacherous path, and the longer you ignore it, the tighter the Academia's grasp on you will become, and the deeper you will be ensnared. Child of King Deshret, never forget that the desert that belongs to you lies elsewhere.
What's so strange about becoming a believer of the wise King Deshret? In fact, aren't you the strange one? The one who still can't pick a side?
What an absurd question. You make it sound like I should be ashamed for becoming a believer of King Deshret.
Sataria, why haven't you gone home?
It seems that no matter where I run, I only keep finding more believers of King Deshret. I have to say, this is a familiar feeling. I've also been running from my guilt this whole time. Guilt over my part in the Sage's plans, and from ignoring the letters from the children of my homeland. But no matter how much I may try to ignore or get rid of it, my guilt always comes back.
You won't necessarily lose your research opportunities by facing the truth. Besides, did you really want to conduct your research while carrying such heavy feelings of guilt?
How do you know me so well? Are you truly just a believer of King Deshret? Or are you the god himself?
That's not important. The important thing is to pass judgment on the Academia and its sages, and to correct their mistakes. If you could provide some assistance in this matter, perhaps it could serve as a form of atonement.
I've actually never believed in the gods, but I've always believed in serendipity. Your appearance must be a fated opportunity for me to get out of this wretched situation. Please tell me, what can I do for you?
How much do you know about the sage's current activities?
I was just one of the designers for the massed dream harvest scheme, which is what happened around the Sumeru's festival. But I know very little about the full scope of the overall project. I'd assume that only staff with the highest clearance would have access to those confidential documents. I've just been working to meet the Grand Sage's specified requirements. However, there's something that's been really bothering me. I heard that a scholar who was previously expelled has returned to the city, and even the sages are still quite wary of him.
To fight against the Academia, we will need to figure out the nature and the purpose of their work. Is there a way for us to get access to the confidential documents you mentioned?
It should be possible if we're willing to take some risks. After all, I'm an assistant to the Grand Sage, and I've been working on many tasks outside of the project. One thing, though, I won't be able to transfer the documents to you through the Akasha once I get my hands on them. The sages have always closely monitored all activities within the Akasha. Let me see... let's use the most primitive method. Send someone to pick up the documents tomorrow evening at the Academia entrance.
The Academia entrance? Wouldn't that be too conspicuous?
Don't worry about that. I assure you, this won't be a trap. I'm only suggesting this location because it'll draw more scrutiny for me to leave the Academia again. It'll be safest for me to distract the guards long enough to hand you the documents.
All right, I trust you.
So, if I were to successfully complete this task, would it mean I've atoned for my wrongdoings?
That'll depend on the judgment of the Dendro Archon.
The Dendro Archon. That's right. Her people are the ones we have endangered. As the God of Wisdom, she's also the one responsible for judging and guiding the scholars. Maybe it's time for me to find a god to believe in.